Hi guys, Briana Robertson here with the Law Office of Briana C. Robertson, and today I want to talk about what are some key mistakes that people make when making an estate plan and how you can avoid them. So let's get into it. The first mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to making an estate plan is they don't have one. That's the biggest mistake that people make, is not having an estate plan in the first place. And the reason this is a mistake is because if something happens to you or you become incapacitated, you now don't have anything that your family can fall back on that's going to tell how your wishes want to be handled, and it leaves it in the hands of the courts to be able to decide, which can be very lengthy and costly for your family. Let's just not handle that, go through that, and let's make it easy for them and have an estate plan in place. The second big mistake that people make is they don't update their estate plans when they create one. Not having your estate plan updated regularly means that a lot of the information in there could be really outdated. It doesn't keep up with where your life was at the time it was created. You might have beneficiaries in there that have passed away that you no longer want to have beneficiaries. The executor that you have listed over your estate, guys might have a falling out, but they're still listed as the executor. If you have a divorce, you still have your spouse listed. Just a whole lot of things that can happen, and life changes as it goes along, and so your estate plan needs to change as you change in life. So that is another big mistake, is that a lot of people do not keep their estate plans updated. I recommend that you update your estate plan every 3 to 5 years, especially whenever a major life event happens, such as the birth of a new baby, a new marriage, a divorce. Anything like that can happen that you're going to want to have to update your estate plan. Acquiring new assets, you're going to want to keep your estate plan updated. The other thing that people make a mistake is they don't actually list who the beneficiaries are. They just put it in a group or class of people, and the problem with that is that it leaves where we got to figure out who all belongs in this group or class. It can leave it up for interpretation and up for litigation, which is exactly what we don't want to have happen when it comes to creating your estate plan. Because if nobody can come up with that designation, well, then the courts are going to have to decide. And so your estate plan is doing the exact opposite of what you want it to do, which is to keep you out of courts, and instead it's putting you right in the limelight of being in the court. So that's another mistake that a lot of estate plans make. So going to a fourth mistake that a lot of estate plans make is they don't choose who their executor is going to be. They don't choose who they want to have to administer their estate. And that's a problem, because if you don't choose, then guess what? We're right back in the courts, and the courts have to choose for you, which is exactly what you don't want to have happen whenever you're creating an estate plan. Speaking of, going back to the previous mistake when I was saying not creating who your beneficiaries or listing exactly who your beneficiaries are, the other mistake that a lot of estate plans make is you don't list contingent beneficiaries, meaning if something happens to your original beneficiary, who's going to be your backup beneficiary should that person not be here. And by failing to list that, you're now once again landing yourself right back into the courts to decide what's going to happen with your stuff, which is the opposite of what you want to have happen with your estate plan. Another thing that a lot of people do not do when it comes to their estate planning is they don't plan for what happens if you become incapacitated. A lot of people only think about what happens if they pass away, and that's the sole thing that they think about, is like, if I pass away, what's going to happen with my assets, which is a huge part of your estate plan. But another part is, what about when you become incapacitated? You haven't passed away, you're still here, you just are not in a place to be able to handle your assets. So what's going to happen to your assets in that situation? And that is where you're going to want to make sure your estate plan plans for that exact situation. So you want to make sure that you are planning for that. Planning for what's going to happen with taxes. Are you drafting your estate plan and make sure that you are getting the most tax benefits from that estate plan? As you grow, as your assets grow, as you acquire more wealth, well, you might be moving different tax brackets, and with that, you're going to want to have a different set of estate planning tools to make sure that you're taking advantage of all of the tax benefits that you can. So that is another mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to making their estate plan, and you want to make sure that you don't make that same mistake. Another one that a lot of people do is these do-it-yourself, these DIY estate plans. A lot of people make mistakes by using these DIY estate plans, which I advise against, because a lot of these majority of these estate plans are going to make sure that you wind up right in court because you're not drafting them in a way. A lot of these do-it-yourself estate plans are not drafted in a way to keep you out of court. You have key terms that could be missing that could protect your assets, and other terms, if it's not drafted correctly, then it could leave it up for dispute, which once again is going to land your estate right back into court. And this is what we want to do when we don't want to do, excuse me, when we're drafting our estate plans. We want to try to make sure that we make it court proof. We want to keep you out of the courts as much as possible and keep your assets right where you want them, which is with your beneficiaries. Another one is not planning for digital assets. We're in a digital age. You're talking about assets such as Facebook, emails, all of these things. Who's going to be able to, like, do you want somebody to manage these things? Who's going to manage them? What's going to happen to them should something happen to you? This is a new problem that, you know, people didn't have to think about before, but we do now. What's going to happen with your digital assets should something happen to you? So these are just a few mistakes that can be easily avoided by having a professional, having an attorney draft your estate plan. And these are things that you want to consider and ask your attorney when you are creating your estate plan, to make sure that these issues are avoided, so that way we can do the most important thing, which is try to keep these estates out of the courts and into the hands of your beneficiaries, who you want to benefit the most from your hard work when you're not able to enjoy yourself. Once again, my name is Briana Robertson. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, so that way you can get notices whenever these educational videos pop up, because we just want to keep dropping these gems for you, so that way you can stay protected and create and can protect the generational wealth that your family is protecting. Once again, my name is Briana Robertson with the Law Office of Briana C. Robertson, and until next time, peace.